Hey everyone, good morning. Both the Boston Marathon bombing and Fort Hood shooting were committed by radical Muslim Americans. But tell that to the FBI. Their latest domestic terrorism assessment doesn't even refer to Islamist terror threats. Here to weigh in is President of American Islamic Forum for Democracy and retired U.S. Navy officer Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. It's great to be with you.
Well, first I want everybody to see what is involved in this list. Here's what the FBI domestic extremist list entails. It says anti-government militia groups, white supremacy extremists, black separatists, sovereign citizen nationalists, anarchists, animal rights and environmentalist extremists, anti and pro-abortion activists, Puerto Rican nationalists. Now, yeah, all those groups are really stealing the headlines today, aren't they? It seems jaw-dropping that Islamic extremists are not on this. And you say?
I say, as a Muslim who's dedicated every spare moment I have to fighting radical Islam, you wonder why the voices of moderates aren't getting out. You have basically two major issues. One is clearly the administration and Homeland Security are in a deep state of denial, rooted in political correctness and basically a fear of engaging the ideology. They're just afraid to engage it. Secondly is, this really is a sign of the deep, profound influence of Muslim Brotherhood legacy groups and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation lobby in defining the language that we use in this debate. I mean, abroad in the Middle East, they call themselves Islamists, and yet we can't even use that diagnosis to call them. And we wonder now there's over 200 Americans serving in ISIS, and that just happened in the last few months. It was happening when this report was made, and they weren't even talking about it.
Right, and you think back to Fort Hood and the shouting of Allahu Akbar, and then still somehow it's considered workplace violence. And then to take the headlines from last week, and we had the two guys from Minneapolis who were radicalized and ended up being killed while fighting for ISIS. We've got estimates of hundreds of Western people who have gone. They have Western passports that can come back and hurt our homeland, obviously. What kind of a danger are we in if we don't recognize this issue?
We're in danger of continuing to be in a whack-a-mole program where we continue to do the same thing in an insane way without learning the lessons that we have, because we aren't engaged in solutions. The only solution is to engage in Muslims that fight against this Islamo-patriotism that pulls our Muslim youth into movements like ISIS, Hamas, and other radical groups, and pulls them back into American nationalism, British nationalism, Western loyalty. And unless we engage Muslims like our group that has a Muslim Liberty Project or American Islamic Leadership Coalition to have a seat at the table, America is going to be more a threat than ever before. And I'm sorry, this report is a pre-9/11 mentality, and Muslims who are fighting for reform are being left in the shadows because it's as if there's nothing going on within the House of Islam, and the OIC lobby and the Muslim Brotherhood groups are driving American policy today.
Dr. Jasser, why do you think more Muslim groups aren't speaking out like you? You obviously have a unique perspective being Muslim and having served in the United States Navy. But why isn't it that more are speaking out to share the divide and make Americans realize we need to do something about this?
Because the government doesn't want to engage Islam and Muslims. It wants to pretend no problem exists, so we don't even exist. But we exist. We're making statements. If they listen to us, you'll hear more of our voices.
Okay. Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, happy Labor Day. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. You too.